Okay, guys. So yesterday we looked at data from you guys. You guys created this data. It's based on the day you were born. Come on. Based on the day you were born. So there were 19 of you guys. Okay. So the date you were born, we wrote it down there. Okay. We did a couple things with it. First thing we did was make a dot plot, right? One dot for every person. Okay. And then we looked at clusters, we looked at gaps. The red are the clusters clustered together. The blue are the gaps in where nothing's happening. Okay. Range, biggest minus smallest. And then we looked at shapes. And said which shape best fits. We talked about why skew right is skew right, why skew left is what creates those things, what creates a symmetric, what creates symmetric bimodal. Okay. Then the last thing we did was we made a histogram. Okay, we made a table for the histogram. We did the 6 steps, made the table, made the bars, and then we finished there. Okay. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to do the last part. Create a box plot. We're going to make a box plot. Okay. So the first step is the easiest, but it takes the longest. Step 1 says order all of the data from least to greatest. So the numbers, the 19 numbers, we want to order from least to greatest. Okay, so that's the first thing. So do that. I'll give you about a minute or so to do that. So write one long line from here to here. Okay, like for example, 1 is the first. So I'm going to write 1. 3 is the next one. So I'm going to put 1, comma, 3, comma, and I'm going to keep going until I have all 19 numbers written down. Okay. So it's easy, but it takes a little bit of time. So I'll give you some time. Okay, that'll be step 1. So anytime we have repeats, we're going to write all of them down. There are 3 people who were born on the 13th, so we need 3 13ths. If I only wrote 1, that would mean only one person in here had a birthday on the 13th. That's not true. There are 3 of you that had birthdays on the 13th. Okay, so all 19. So make sure yours matches mine. Because if we miss a number, it's going to throw a wrench in everything else. So we want to make sure that we have all the numbers listed. We didn't miss one. We want to make sure if there's 3 13s, we have 3 13s written. If there's 2 18s, we have 2 18s written. We want to make sure that because it represents a person. All right. So if I take away one of those 18s, it might not seem like that big of a deal, but that's a person. Okay. So we want to make sure that we have all of this data. Okay. That's the first step. Okay. First step when you're doing a box plot. Check. Okay. The next step, find the minimum and the maximum. The minimum and the maximum. Well, minimum is the lowest number. Okay. So the lowest number in this case was a 1. So we call that the minimum. Okay. So 1 is the minimum. The lowest number here is a 1. The highest number, 29. No one has any birthdays higher than 29. Oops, not min. Max. That's the highest numbered birthday. 1 is the lowest numbered birthday. 29 is the highest numbered birthday. Okay. That's the second step. We're done. Done step 2. Step 3, find the median. The median is the middle. To do step 3 and step 4, they need to be in order. So that's why we did in order. We did everything in order. We took care of that already. So the median, there's no fancy way to do it. You just start crossing out numbers. Crossing out numbers until you're in the middle. Okay? So I'm going to lightly cross out the numbers. I'm going to start at the edges. So I'm going to cross out 1, cross out 29. Cross out 3, cross out 26. I'm going to keep doing that until I can't cross out anymore. If you have a highlighter, you can. If not, you could just use your pencil. Either one's okay. And I finished with 18. Okay, 18 is the number in the middle. So we label that as the median. Okay, that's step 3. My last class, the class right before you guys, right before lunch, they had 2 numbers in the middle. That could happen, right? We didn't have 2 numbers in the middle because we have 19. Anytime you have an odd number, you're going to have a number in the middle. But if you have, the last class had 28, I think. So they had 2 numbers in the middle. So if you have 2 numbers in the middle, how do we find the median? Which of those? Yep, you find the middle of those 2. So let's picture, let's just say, this is not true, but let's say I had 17 and 18 left in the middle. I can't cross them out because then I have no more numbers left. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can figure out what's the middle of those 2 numbers. What's in between 17 and 18? There you go, 17.5. Or you can add them up and divide by 2. Either way, you'd get 17.5. Okay? This case, we don't have to do that because the median is actually a number. Okay? All right, so that's step 3. The middle number is 18. Step 4, got to find something called quartile 1 and quartile 3. Okay? So quartile 1 is actually the median, but it's the median of the lower half. It's the median of the lower half. So everything below the median. So I don't count the median because it's not below. Everything below. So from 1 to 17. Okay, so from 1 to 17, I'm going to find the middle of those. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing until I end with a number in the middle. In this case, it's going to be 9. So we call that quartile 1. Quartile 1. Or Q1. You can call it Q1. Sometimes it's called just Q1. Okay. First quartile, sometimes it's called. Okay. That's the middle of the first half, the lower half. It's kind of like quarter of the way in. That's why they call it a quartile, right? Quartile? Quartile 1? Q1? That's Q1. Q1. All right. The next thing we have to do is find, so let's see, let me box those numbers in here. So that was the middle of those guys. So the next thing we're going to do is do the same thing, but for the upper half. That's Q3. Okay, so I'm going to go upper half. So everything above the median. Everything above the median. So all of these numbers here. Okay, from the second 18 on. We don't count this 18 because this 18 was the median. The one right next to it, This 18 was the median. This 18 is not the median, so we can count that. Okay, that's why it's important to label them. Like I boxed the median, so I know everything that's above it and everything that's below it. Okay, so let's do it again. Okay, so I'm going to find the middle of these guys. And that happens to be 20. So we call it quartile 3 or Q3. Q3. Either one, third quartile. Okay. So now I found 5 numbers: the minimum, the maximum, the median, quartile 1, and quartile 3. All of those together are what we call the 5-number summary. They're 5 numbers: minimum, maximum, quartile 1, quartile 2, or quartile 3, and median. That's 5 numbers. Okay, it's a 5-number summary. Okay, so check there. Okay. Last 3 things are building the box plot. Okay, the box plots are going to look something like this. They need a box and they need whiskers. We call them whiskers, these lines at the end. They're called whiskers. Okay, so before we can do that, we have to build a number line. Okay, the number line has to have all of the numbers in our numbers. So it has to go from 1 to 29. Okay, so it has to go from 1 to 29. So I'm going to draw a number line. The number line doesn't need to have every single number. It doesn't need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 30, 29. It doesn't need to do that. I can count. I can count by twos. I can go 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. I can go like that. I can count by threes. 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. I can count by fours. 0, 4, 8, 12. I can count by fives. Whatever you want. Okay? This case, I'm not going to go by ones because I don't want to do 29 tally marks. I'll do fives. Okay, fives is kind of a nice round number. So I'm going to start with 0. You could start with 1, but then you would go 1, 6, 11, So I'll just start with 0 to make everything nice and round. So after 0 is 5, then 10, 15, 20, 25, and then 30. So every number will be on that number line. There's no numbers that are too big. There's no numbers that are too small. One of the biggest mistakes I see is when you're building the number line, I see this. I see students try to do this. They say, okay, 0, 5, 10, and then they're like, okay, this is going to be 12. That's going to be 15. That's going to be 18. That's going to be 23. Right? So they start by counting out by fives, and then they skip to twos, and then threes. You don't want to do that. Okay? So pick something. Ones, twos, fives, tens. If my numbers went from 1 to 129, I'd probably use something like tens, maybe even 20s, right? If my numbers went from 1 to 9, then I would probably do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, So it just depends on how wide the numbers are, okay? The range of the numbers, I should say. Okay, so step 3 done. Or sorry, step 5 done. Step 6. Okay, so now we're going to make the box. So we start with quartile 1. So quartile 1 is at 9. So at 9, I'm going to make a line. Okay, it's going to look like this. So 9 is a little bit less than 10. So I'm going to write a line just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to go to quartile 3 and do the same thing. So quartile 3 is 20. So I'm going to make a line that matches at 20. And then with those two, I'm going to close it. I'm going to close it to make the box. This is the box. That's why we call it a box plot. Okay. The last thing you do with the box is the median. The median was 18. The median's always going to be inside the box. Okay. So the median, let's see, 18's around there. Okay. Step 6 done. 7, now the whiskers. Now the whiskers. Okay, so the whiskers are going to extend to the minimum and the maximum. Okay, so the minimum is at 1. So I'm going to make a half a line, not a full line, at 1. And then 29, I'm going to do the same thing because these are the whiskers. This is not the box. It's a little like half tick marks. And then from the box, I'm going to draw a line. Okay, that's step 7. So if you ask me, what is the median? Without the numbers, let's say I don't have these numbers. Let's say I just have this guy right here. The median's going to be 18, 19-ish right there. It's probably closer to 18, right? Q1, what is Q1 or the first quartile going to be? A little bit less than 10, so 9. You know, you can 29, 20, 1, you can see that without it, right? Here's my question. I got a couple questions first. So this is our box plot. What do you notice about it? What stands out? What are a couple things that stand out about our box plot? They're interesting, they're weird, they're facts. What are things that stand out? Yeah, correct. One part's wider and one part's skinnier. Which is the skinny part? From where to where is the skinny part? Yeah, right here. Look at this part right here is really skinny. This part right here is a lot thicker, a lot wider compared to this part here, right? Why do you think that is? Yeah, look at your histogram. What's happening on your histogram around 18 to 20? What's up with your what's going on in your histogram from 18 to 20? Isn't that where the highest bar is? That's where the highest bar is, right? By far, right? Over double. Why is this bar so tall? What made the bar so tall? Clusters, right? There was a lot of you. There was a lot of you who had birthdays on the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, or 20th. There was a lot of you there, right? There were 7 of you, right? So what does that look like on a box plot? We don't do heights on box plot, right? We do widths on box plot. So a tall bar is going to equal, what do you notice over here in that area? Skinny, skinny. Okay. A lot of people say, this is what I get. Oh, if they look at this and they say, you know what, 18 to 20, there was only like one person, maybe 2 people in there. No, there wasn't, right? There was quite a few. There were 7 of you, right? 7 of you from 16, from 18 to 20. Let's look at the data. How many of you were from 18 to 20? 6, 5 or 6? Okay. So this is how you read it. This is how you read it. 25% of the data, so 25% of the birthdays are in the whisker. So from 1 to 9, 25% of you have birthdays then. 25% of you have birthdays from Q1 to the median, from 9th to the 18th. 25% of you have birthdays from the 18th to the 20th. And then the last 25% have birthdays from the 20th to the 29th. So how many people? So is there more people that have birthdays in this part, right? In this, let me see. Are there more people who have birthdays in this part here or this part here?
Well, they're even.
They're exactly the same. They're exactly the same. I'll get that. I'll say, well, this is wide. Look at how wide this is. So there's got to be a lot of birthdays there and like no birthdays in here. The answer is no. They're the same amount of birthdays. But why is this cluster very skinny?
Because there's high amounts of it's above the median.
Not above the median. Look at these numbers. 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20.
The numbers are very close together.
There's a lot of them and they're very close together. There's a lot of them and they're very close together. Okay? Next week, what I'm going to do is we're going to do an activity where I'm going to give you 5 to 10 box plots. Okay? And then I'm going to give you 5 to 10 histograms. No data. So you're not going to have the actual numbers, the raw data. And you're going to have to match them. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. How would we match them?
By seeing where, like on the bar graph, you have to see where the clusters are at, and that's how you're gonna know if it's on in certain places.
There you go. High frequency means it happens a lot. On histograms means high bars, right? High bars means it happens a lot. There are a lot of birthdays from the 16th to the 20th. Okay? How does that correspond with a box plot? Because we don't go high on a box plot, right? We go wide or skinny, right? Histogram goes tall or short, right? Tall means a lot, short means not many. There weren't many people that were born from the 1st to the 5th, 21st to the 25th, 26th to the 30th. Weren't that many people, right? 2 in each. So if something happens a lot, how does it correspond on the box plot? Is it going to be wide, extra wide, or extra skinny? Extra skinny. It's going to be extra skinny. Yep. So if I have a really skinny here, that means on a histogram in that same area, I'm going to have a really tall bar. Okay, I'm going to have a really tall bar. Okay, so on the board, I have 2 classes. Tell me something about, let's call this one class A. Call this one class B. Tell me something about A. Without, you don't know the data. So let's start with this. Let me ask you a question first. Do you know how many students were in A in my first class? Do we know how many students were in class A? No, we don't know. We don't know, right? We know percentages. 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. There could be 4 students in that class. There could be 150 students in that class. You just don't know, right? So we don't know overall numbers. So what could you tell me though? A couple of you had your hands up. What's one thing you could tell me about class A? Yeah, it looks like right here between like right here to right here. So that you're saying between like 8 and 10? High bars, right? High bars between 8 and 10. What else? 12-ish. High bars, right? A lot of students born 9th and the 10th, 11th, 12th. A lot of students being born. High bars there. What about the long whiskers on A? Let me ask you this. Are there more students born from the 12th to the 31st versus the 10th to the, so are there more students born in here versus in here? More students. Exactly, they're the same. 25%, 25%. So if I have 100 students in this class, 25 of them are in the whisker, 25 of them are in the box. And then 25 of them are right there too. And 25% of them are over here, right? So it has nothing to do with numbers. It has to do with how close the data is together. These 25% in here are extremely close together. These 25% in here are extremely close together. These 25%, very spread apart. Very spread apart. That's what you tell. Okay? So class B. Where are the clusters in class B? Where are the high bars in class B? So from here? Not here. These are going to be the lowest bars.
Oh, that's true.
The high bars are going to be here and here. So from 3 to 5 and 20 to 22-ish, that's where the high bars are going to be because they're clustered together. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else? Am I forgetting something here? Let's see. So tomorrow what we're going to do is, since we have a short block again tomorrow, I'm going to give you a chance. Right now we've done 3 graphs together. We've done them together. I want you to try some on your own. So tomorrow we're going to do a little bit more practice. It's just going to be practice like this in the notes. I'm going to give you some data and I'm going to ask you to build histograms. Okay? If we have time, we'll build box plots with those too. Okay? That's what we're going to do tomorrow. Because tomorrow our schedule is going to be even a little more tighter because tomorrow's a Wednesday, so we get out. So it's going to be the same. You're going to go to first, testing, break, second, third, lunch, fourth, sixth, seventh. Tomorrow's there's 3 days of testing for English language. ELA, there's 3 days of testing. So Thursday, Tuesday, today, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay? So if you're in the back, tape it in your notes. No, assignments you don't have to. Yeah. Okay, so some of you guys have asked. Mr. Flores, are you going to check our notebooks at the end of the semester? The answer is I might. So keep taping in your notes. Okay, if it's there, if it's completed, you get full credit. If it's not there or if it's not completed, you don't get full credit. I was absent doesn't count because you know what to do if you're absent. Go get an extra copy from the back. Go to Google Classroom. Pull up the notes that you need, wherever the notes are that you need. I need this one right here. And copy it down. Okay, and copy it down. Because you might be like, well, why do I need these notes from Trig? We already finished them. Well, we're not finished with them because you're going to see them on the final. Okay, all of this stuff from this semester, you're going to see on the final again. Okay, so just because we're done with it, we've taken the test, doesn't mean we're done with it completely.